Hello guys, welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to introduce Python lists. So lists are very important data type in Python. I have used them at multiple places. They are very convenient to use. I'll tell you a lot of details about Python list, like how to use the methods given by Python. Okay, and everything will be available in the comment section. And guys, if you have not watched my previous videos, please do like and subscribe the videos. The agenda is in front of you. Let's Before going to the methods of the Python, first assume what are lists. So basically list in Python are collection of elements. Like, so it's an object array where the elements of a list can be heterogeneous, like you can have an integer as well as a string within the same list. Okay, how to declare a list? We can declare a list using square brackets like this. This is our simple list. If we do print type of a comma a, let's run this code guys. Here you can see when I ask for the type, it shows that it is of list class. Now if you don't know why how to use the type function, you can watch my previous video. Okay, so also you can print the 1 3 and 5. So now let's I have listed down some properties here, like lists, and now let me demonstrate uh, each property by an example. So let's take the first example. Lists are ordered. So lists are an ordered element. What do you mean by ordered? So like we have defined an element as 1 3 and 5 uh, for the list A. So let's test if 1 comma 3 comma 5 equals to 5 comma 3 comma 1. Let's run that. Here you can see false is printed. That proves our point that lists are an ordered elements. Lists contain ordered elements. So if the order of the elements change, it will be a different list. Okay, so these are the properties of the list. Before we move on to the methods of the list, I want to ensure that you guys have full idea of what a list is and where to use them. Now let's move to the second object. Lists can contain arbitrary objects. That means a list can have an integer as well as a string as well as a float value, and it will still work. Let's print it. Here you can see we received no error. That means the list can contain arbitrary objects. Okay, let me comment out these lines. The third property is this: list elements can be accessed by index. So as we have defined earlier, let's keep the list. Now let's try to access its second element. See if we can access it by its index value. So index always starts from 0. So the first element will be at 0 index. Okay, let's run that. Here you can see the second element is printed. So it proves that lists can be accessed by their indexes. Okay, lists can be nested. What does that mean? That means a list can have multiple lists within the list. Let's define one more list which will have a list A as well as another list comma 4 comma 6. Let's try to print it. Here you can see guys, so our list B contains 135, which is a list, as well as 246. So it proves the property of the list that the list can be nested. Okay guys, Coming to one more point, lists are mutable. So what do we mean by mutable here? That the properties of the object can be changed. Like if you can see earlier, we have defined list A as 1, 3, comma 5. Let's try to change its second element to change and try to print A here. So if the list is mutable, the second element, which is 3, should be changed to change. Here you go. Oh, sorry, I changed the third element. So you can see the element has been changed. So this proves that the lists are mutable. Let's comment this and move to the next one. Lists are dynamic, which is again an important. So what do we mean by dynamic? The meaning dynamic makes it doesn't have a fixed size. As soon as we keep on adding elements, the if we keep on adding elements, the list will keep expanding in size. That's what the dynamic means. Sorry. Sorry. Probably I'll have to use the extend method here or other append. I'll tell you about these methods first. Just let now see the properties. Here you can see we can easily append the values to a list and we can keep on appending it. Okay, guys. So these are the properties of the list that we can use. Now I'll tell you how to operate on lists. Don't worry, guys, these all things will be in the video description section, so you can refer there. Nothing, no, don't worry about noting anything. So now, guys, I'll tell you how you can add elements to a list. So there are three methods for adding elements to a list. One is append, another one is insert, and the next one is extend. So I'll start with the append method. So how does append work? So whenever you want to add an element to a list, you can use the element. If you remember, we have initialized the a list earlier. Let's take the list here so that it is easier. So if you want to add one more element to this list, you can simply use a.append 6 print. You can see the 6 is added to the list. Okay, but append doesn't allow you to add the element with in between the list. Append only adds elements to the end of the list. That's where the insert module comes in. Let's use the insert e dot insert. Now for insert, so here you need to define where to add that. Suppose you want to add it at the beginning of the list, and you have to define at what position should we add it. Here you can see the hello is inserted to the beginning of the list. You can change this index value to be anything. Okay, guys. Now insert allows you so append allows you to add an element to the end of the list. Insert extended that feature to append that element anywhere. But the problem with the insert and append is they only allow you to insert one element at a time. While if you want to use append multiple elements, we are going to use extend method. Let's use that. Extend basically extends the list. Let's run that. Here you can see 7, 8, 9 are added to the list. So there is one more restriction with extend, that extend also appends to the end of the list. If you want to insert in between the list, you have to use the insert method and have to do that one by one. So guys, I have already told you how to access the elements by its index in the previous section. So now let me tell you how the negative indexing works. So as you know that the zero is the starting position of the element. If we use negative index, then we get the element from the last. Let me demonstrate that. Let's use -1. Here you can see it printed 5. So the -1 will be the first position from the last. If you use -2, it will print out the 3, and it works recursively. So if you give -4, yeah, it will give the list index out of range because there is no fourth element from the last. Okay, so there is a traditional way of accessing it using the positive index. Then there is another method of using it using the negative index, which accesses elements from the last of the list. Now let's see how to remove elements from the list. So guys, there are two methods to remove the elements from the list: remove and pop. So let's first use the remove. For removing an element, you should know which element to remove. Then only you will be able to remove the element. Oh, sorry. Here you can see we have removed the element 3. If you give something which is not present in the list, yeah, so the X is not in the list, and error will be thrown, value error. Okay, guys. So for removing the element, you should know what is the value of the element. While the pop a.pop the pop method does not take any input. It simply removes the last element from the list, whatever it is. It doesn't worry about the value and everything. It just removes the last element. Here you can see the 5 is removed from the list. Also guys, if you want to know the size of the list, you can use the length method, or rather, yeah, here you go. It has 3 elements. This is really useful when you want to run a for loop inside a list. You should know the length of the list. Okay, you can similarly use the max and min methods. I think I don't need to describe here because everybody know what does max and min do. You can see. Okay, guys. Similarly, one more feature where you can sort the list. Sorry, since it is a method, let's use the sort method. So rather e dot sort. Sorting returns none. Surprisingly. Okay, guys. So this is all about list. I'll paste everything there in the description section. Please like and subscribe this video. Also watch other videos from the list. Thank you guys. Have a great day.